ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Hello, your episode of ABC News Daily is coming up in a sec, but I just wanted to tell you about our podcast. I'm Julia Baird.
And I'm Jeremy Fernandez, and we have a pod called Not Stupid, where every week we chat about the stories we're a bit obsessed with. It's part news, part internet rabbit holes, basically, Jules.
And a lot of chat about poetry and cake, actually. It's called Not Stupid. You can find it on the ABC Listen app.
"2024 was a huge year for artificial intelligence, with AI-powered features integrated into everything from search engines to phones. So, what can we expect from the technology this year? Today, Toby Walsh, the Chief Scientist at the AI Institute at the Uni of New South Wales, on whether this is the year that AI tools really start to make our lives easier. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal Land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily. Toby, I saw a story the other day about a new robot vacuum with a mechanical arm powered by AI, and I reckon that sounds pretty good.
Well, yes. Hopefully AI is going to do the dirty, the dull, the difficult and the dangerous for us.
And they can pick up your...
Pick up the poo.
Oh, I was going to say socks. Pick up the dirty socks, which would make life easier before vacuuming. Anyway, they're not out on the market yet, right?
They are. Robots are starting to turn up in lots of places, in our workplaces, in our factories, in our warehouses, and increasingly in our homes.
All right, well, in a moment, we're going to get stuck into what we can expect when it comes to artificial intelligence in 2025. But just in case people lost track, which is pretty easy to do, remind me of the leaps and bounds that we saw in 2024.
Well, it was quite an astounding year for someone working in the field of AI. I've spent 40 years in the field, and it didn't prepare me for quite the speed and the scale of which AI was being rolled out. I did the math, and $1 billion was being spent on AI every day of the year.
Oh my gosh.
That's really unprecedented scale of investment. It's 20% of the world's R&D budget is being spent on this one technology.
Yeah, so what did we see? I mean, what did we get for this $1 billion a day?
Oh, we've got AI turning up in lots of places, in all our apps, on all our phones and all our computers. There is an arms race going on between tech companies in the US, in China, Europe and Australia to develop the biggest and best AI models that are increasingly sophisticated, increasingly capable, that they can generate movie segments, they can generate really realistic voices, they can generate really realistic text. They are increasingly capable and increasingly able to do little tasks in our lives.
And also helping to make some really significant discoveries.
Yes, the latest antibiotic was discovered not by a human, but by a computer.
Yeah, incredible.
It cost $2 billion to develop a new drug, and anything that can speed that up and reduce the cost is going to be welcome. We're running out of antibiotics. We're still prescribing penicillin, the first antibiotic we ever discovered. There are increasing drug resistance to the existing antibiotics that we have. So the hope then is that AI is going to help us accelerate the way that we do scientific discovery, medical discovery. And hopefully AI is going to then help us live longer, healthier, happier lives.
But Toby, there's also, of course, concern, isn't there, that comes with this, that there are harms, deep fake porn's been a big issue, particularly for school-aged children.
It has. And indeed, the Australian government has introduced new regulation to try and tackle those harms. The problem here is that the technology is being rapidly rolled out into our lives. It's very democratized. It used to be that you needed some skill and sophistication and expertise to be able to do these things. Now you don't. This is the hands of everyone. And we're discovering that can have consequences, can have harmful consequences. And we have to think carefully about how we're going to regulate that, how we're going to control that, how we're going to ensure that we get the benefits. There are very many benefits that we touched on just now without too many of the harms.
All right, well, Toby, let's look then at what we should expect in the year ahead because, as you've already referred to, this technology, it changes so quickly, doesn't it?
It does. AI is going to be turning up in all the different workflows that you have, whether you live in the Microsoft world or the Google world or the Salesforce world, it doesn't matter which computing world you happen to live in. They're increasingly putting AI tools there in and amongst the things that you do so that increasingly you don't have to finish writing an email. This little AI system will pop up and say, oh, I could help you finish that. Or you don't remember what the formula is for an Excel spreadsheet, and this little system will pop up and say, well, I can help you with that, or I can help you with that workflow. So increasingly you're going to find those little assistants. And then this is the other interesting advance we're seeing, this idea that they're increasingly going to be agentic. They're agents that are able to do things. So the AI that we saw last year were chatbots that could answer your questions. You had to be proactive, you had to ask them questions, and then they would answer those questions. Increasingly, you're going to see AI that does things for you, goes off and researches a topic and finds you the best prices and writes a summary report for you. That they have some capability to actually make decisions and do stuff in the world.
Wow. So undoubtedly, this will make our lives easier.
Hopefully it will make our lives easier. I mean, of course, there are other concerns that people have. Maybe it will make our lives too easy. It will dumb us down.
Yes.
Maybe it will make our lives so easy that we're actually redundant and that we actually don't have a job anymore because the computer is able to do those things. So there is, as ever, along with the positives, that we're not having to do those dull, repetitive things ourselves, there are issues about what does that leave us humans to do?
Yes, there's benefits to picking up your own socks. All right, tell me, a lot of us have, of course, an Apple iPhone. They, I think, account for half of new mobile phones sold in Australia. So Apple, it's getting into AI in a big way now as well with something called Apple Intelligence. Tell me what that is and how significant it is.
Yes, well, Apple would like you to think that AI is going to stand for Apple Intelligence. They're somewhat later into the game. They're playing catch up to Microsoft and Google, who have been more at the forefront of the AI revolution that we've been seeing. But maybe they're playing the longer game, one suspects. They've been a bit more cautious, a bit more careful about how they introduce AI into our lives. They're more concerned about issues around privacy and protecting our data. So they've taken a slightly more careful approach to it, but they're starting to build AI capabilities into the Apple ecosystem. But I think the unique selling point that they would say is that they've tried to do that in a way that's a bit more responsible, a bit more careful, that a lot of the AI that Apple gives you now is AI that runs on your phone or runs on your computer. You're not then having to share your data with Apple or indeed anyone else. And that those places where the AI is not capable enough on your phone or your computer and it's having to run in the Apple cloud, they're running that in what they call a secure cloud. They're not sharing that data again with anyone, so that you can perhaps be less concerned that your data is going to end up who knows where.
Well, as we mentioned, AI is really good at producing really convincing images and even video now. A colleague of mine, he seems to like to watch pictures or images or videos of cats preparing and then eating pasta and different sorts of foods. They look pretty realistic.
And then again, that's good and bad. I mean, it's good in the sense that it's very easy now to generate these videos and to amuse people, and our TikTok streams and our Twitter feeds are going to be that much more amusing, that's much more entertaining, because there are going to be these wonderful pasta making cats everywhere, if that's what amuses us, and that's going to be easy to make. On the other hand, increasingly there's going to be video that fools us. And the problem is that we tend to believe the things that we see.
Yeah.
And those things may not be true. And then people will be trying to manipulate us to get us to vote in various ways, to believe various things that may not be true. And we saw just a few days ago, the airline Emirates had to release a press release saying those videos that people are seeing online of an Emirates A380 plane crashing into a building are fake. They're not real. An A380 plane of ours has not crashed recently. That's nothing to do with us. So increasingly we're going to see not just companies that are worried about it, but politicians are worried about it, that it's going to be impacting our democratic discourse.
And not to mention the jobs, real people's jobs, that AI could actually take away, Toby. Are we seeing that at all yet, that people are actually losing jobs to a computer, basically?
Unfortunately, we are seeing the beginnings of that. So there was a nice report that the Financial Times put out. They were looking at the number of freelance jobs being offered on Fiverr. Fiverr is one of these websites where you can advertise freelance work. They were looking at graphic designers and other people, the amount of freelance work being offered on these websites and the average pay for each of those jobs on the website. And they noticed since these AI tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion that can generate very good images using AI, they noticed that there was a 15% reduction in the amount of work being offered and a 15% reduction also in the amount that was paid for each of those jobs. That's probably, I suspect, the canary in the coal mine, in the sense that those were the freelancers, those are the easiest people to let go or not to offer jobs, and that we will see that sadly perhaps filtering through into the wider population where people are perhaps lose their jobs or are not hired because AI is now doing some of that work.
Yeah, and that could be across a huge range of professions, right? I actually know a financial planner who says AI is a bit of a problem for financial planners because they might not be needed much anymore.
It is, and I think the takeaway that I would recommend to people from this is don't be one of those people. Be one of the people who's using AI to be that much more productive, so that you're the person who's still employed, and it's the person who hasn't worked out how to use these AI tools to improve their productivity.
And what about regulation of these firms? It seems like they can basically do whatever they like.
Up to now, they've been allowed to do basically what they could like, and that has allowed massive innovation to happen. But equally, there's a growing concern that they do need rules. We are seeing this year the UNSW.ai, the first substantive piece of AI regulation that is coming into force this year. There is discussion here. There was a government white paper discussing whether we should have similar regulation here in Australia. I would be very unsurprised if by the end of this year, for example, we didn't have something already in discussion in Parliament, if not already on our statute books, looking at regulating this sector so that we do get the good without the bad.
All right, so you're the expert. So where are you sitting now? Are AI tools more helpful or harmful for humanity? What do you think?
It's entirely up to us. That technology is not destiny. The tools have the potential to have great positive benefits to society, to our economy, to our healthcare system, to our education system. It's hard to think of a part of our lives that they won't touch if we choose. At the same time, they also have the potential to cause significant harm, to cause significant disruption to people's jobs, also to cause significant changes to the way we fight war and do all these other things that we do, and even to impact our delicate democracy. So it's all up to us, and everything is still to play for at this point in time as to how the technology gets used and where and when we decide it should be used.
Toby Walsh is the Chief Scientist at the AI Institute at the University of New South Wales. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed and Cara Jensen-McKinnon. Audio production by Sam Dunn. Our supervising producer is David Cody. To get in touch with the team, please email us on ABC News Daily at abc.net.au. I'm Sam Hawley. Thanks for listening.